Hello, friends. I am live. We are here. We are refreshed after the weekend. I think I did a lot this weekend, but it was good stuff. All musical related, and hopefully I'm not freezing. That's odd. Hey, Sam, welcome. I wanted to talk today about improvisation because I had a really good. You finally made it! Yay! I wanted to talk about improvisation because I had a great lesson from one of my students today about um, making a song your own, and that can be a really hard thing if you're not used to that. If you've just been, as a beginner, just straight up finding how to make the right notes happen. Like you're just like, okay, I can't think about making it my own. I just got to get it right because that's enough struggle. I totally get it. I feel you. Makes sense. And you're totally valid in that. But I am a huge proponent of uh, pushing my students out of their comfort zone by asking them to do a little improv here and there, because oh hey Brenda, welcome. Because I think it's really important to start getting out of your comfort zone just a little bit at a time. Oh hey Josh, welcome. Every week I do this live because something usually comes up and it's a really important topic. And this morning I was talking to my student about improvisation because she was doing a song that actually lends itself to improvisation. Like she usually does musical theater, and like sticks to the sheet music very intensely. And she's like, okay, am I doing this right? How can I be better? How can I be more on it, more in the box? So we were working on this like bluegrassy song, which a lot of musicals are kind of bluegrassy now. There's a lot more of that influence coming into musical theater. But also, she wants to just expand what she can do. And so we did this song, and I was like, the cool thing about bluegrass is that these melodies are super simple so that you can expand on them. And she's like, okay, I don't know if I know how to do that. So today, what we did was, I had her do the first verse simple, foundational, the simplest melody possible. And totally, yeah, that's how you immerse yourself. Just trying something new. And because she has such a musical theater background and classical background, she is she told me in her head she was thinking like, okay, how have I heard other people do this and how can I pick the right one that will sound the best with this? And I was like, okay, great. However, let's just totally turn that on its head and pick a whole different way of looking at it. And maybe we can come to a place with this song where you're not in a place of letting your gremlin be in your ear saying, are you sure that's going to be the right note? Is it going to be as good as this other person did it? And it's hardly ever as good as the other person did it because you're listening to Broadway stars, right? And so when we are in comparison mode all the time, you're always going to be let down because you're always comparing yourself and your tone and your pitch to a person who has been singing so many years and has had so much training. And I'm not saying that that's not true of you guys as well as some of you who may have had classical training in the past and may have had just as much training, but the point is that you have a different voice and you have a different creative impulses and you have a different mind and a different body, literally a different instrument. And so in order to get out of that mindset of that, keeping yourself in the box, we have to literally throw that out of your ear, right? So I know that that's probably how you've heard that song many, many times over and over again, but it's really important to give yourself exercises where you kind of force yourself outside of that box so that the gremlin is literally not allowed to come in and compare yourself to something because you're literally not singing the same thing. So what we did today was I just said, okay, we're not going to sing this song anymore. I know it's going to be in your head, so it may have echoes of the song, and that's okay. But I'm going to play the chords for you very slowly on a different instrument. It's just going to be open season, right? You get to just let out notes as they come to you. And this is the exact idea in making sure that you are fully trusting and allowing those little creative breadcrumbs that come to you. or you can love your creative impulses and still embrace yourself simultaneously. Totally. That's exactly the point of this exercise, is to strengthen the relationship you have with your creative impulses, because so often we spend so much time criticizing them and manipulating them and telling them that it's not going to be good enough before you're even allowing any sound to come out of your mouth. No matter what genre you're doing, like really, we do that to ourselves so often. So this exercise we were doing was, I was just playing the chords, same chords as the song we were doing, but I said, don't even sing the words. Don't sing that melody. I want you just to let these chords tell you what you want to do with it. I want you to come up with a new melody. Just do la 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 or da 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 or whatever you want. And what she was able to do was, I think she closed her eyes and she was just sitting there, feeling really weird at first, because that's how it feels to start improvising after never having done it before. But after a while, she was like trying new things and really trusting her ear and listening to, like, oh, okay, I know where it's going, but I'm going to choose something different than the melody I already know in this song. And so she was picking different things. And it was really cool. She was like, this is really weird, but it's kind of fun at the same time. So if we never allow ourselves to have this like playtime, it's just, you're letting yourself be compared in your mind to what's right. And the beauty of music is, like, when you write a song, you sing it one way, but if somebody else covers it, they're going to sing it a very different way, just based on the nature of their own voice. Like, even if they sing the exact same notes, it's going to sound different, right? So we have to be okay with and actively seek out opportunities for ourselves in which we start to find our own voice appealing. Like you said, Joe, like, learn to love your own creative impulses, even though they're different from the original artist. So not all songs are the easiest to do this with. Bluegrass is a great genre to start playing with, because that's kind of the idea. It's a very simple melody. And then the cool part is when people start doing variations on the theme, right? You can add in some runs and change up your intervals. And so this is the level 2 exercise that I want you to try. And this is what I gave my student this morning. So level 1 is just literally let yourself sing over some blank chords and see what comes out. Like, no judgment. I call this music vomit, right? You're not even singing words, not even word vomit. It's just musical vomit. And once you get comfortable with that, it may take a little bit. It's not the easiest thing in the world, for sure. I know this. But once you get comfortable with that, this level 2 exercise is, okay, now I want you to play a game with yourself. How can you take what you just did? Maybe you just sang a little phrase and you're like, oh, I like that, I want to do it again. Okay, cool. Maybe try going up instead of down this time. Maybe instead of going this far up, maybe you go this far up. You choose different intervals to sing instead of the first choice. I want you to pick the second choice and the third choice and the fourth choice. And so the game is, you're choosing something new and exciting for yourself every time. You're not just letting yourself hang out in your comfort zone ever, right? Maybe the first thing you sing is like, okay, that feels good. Okay, that's a good line, right? But now my goal is to switch it up enough so that it sounds like something different. I'm making myself choose a choice that feels a little less comfortable on purpose. So instead of maybe I go just a slight difference. I still ended up in the same place. Or maybe I'll go it still may work with the chords, but it's not the same thing over and over again. Because a lot of times we, just based on how we listen to Western music anyway, we go right for the root of the chord. So if I'm playing like a C chord, I go right for the C. So da, 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 I go right for da, because that's the easiest thing to hear for a lot of us. It feels like home, feels comfortable. And so if you're playing this level 2 game, maybe your first instinct is to go da, but maybe you're like, okay, that's my first instinct. I'm going to, on purpose, choose the middle note, da. Or on your second time through, you maybe choose the third note, da. And after a while, you start to get really excited about, oh, I wonder what's going to come next, instead of letting your gremlin take over and be like, that was wrong, that didn't sound good. And the thing I asked her to do the most is to just let out whatever comes out, even if it feels like a note that doesn't work with the chord, even if it feels messy and wrong. This is exactly where I want you to play. This is the edge we're playing with in improvisation, is learning to be okay with sounding weird and messy and wrong, because that's the exact thing that we're trying to get the gremlin to lay off of, right? We're like, I don't have to listen to you. It's going to come back and it's going to tell you that you're wrong, but you have the choice in every moment whether to listen to that voice or not, you know? That's why we play music, to enjoy ourselves, to make choices, to let the artist inside of us take charge instead of always being in editing mode. So this is some of the best advice I've gotten recently, and it has to do a lot with this gremlin idea. As a songwriting coach told me, like, you have three parts of you. You have the artist, you have the editor, and then you have the inner critic, which I would say is a gremlin. So many times when we're being creative, when we're singing along with music, or when we're trying to write a song or write a poem or paint a painting or whatever, we sit down and we go, okay, I got to make a good piece of art today so I can show the world. And that is a real big problem, because we're already in editing mode. We're already in critic mode before we even let the artist do its thing. So in order to let out freely, in order to come up with something freely without holding back, we have to let ourselves be in artist mode for a good long chunk of time, for longer than probably feels comfortable. And this is where the word vomit, the music vomit, comes in. You're just connecting with whatever is giving you inspiration and vomiting it out. So if that means turning on your voice memo for 5 minutes, playing these chords, you can find a chord progression on YouTube, even if you don't play an instrument, just pick one. Letting yourself improv over it and play in that. Just be in play mode. And just because you're recording doesn't mean it has to be good or perfect or anything at all. You can sing one note or two notes the whole time and it's good enough. Everything is good enough. There's nothing that's wrong. But maybe that's just you getting comfortable and turning the faucet on and learning to just let that faucet run instead of being in like, ooh, that's not very good water, right? So the next step after that, if that's the case for you, if you're like, ooh, this is uncomfortable, I don't like it at all, but I did it. Level 2 would be then for you to do it again, press record again so the recording feels more familiar, and just keep leaning in, right? So you're just leaning into those impulses, making a goal for yourself to choose different notes, different rhythms, different shapes in your mind, however you see music and your voice. I like to get really visual with it. So it helped me see like, oh, I just went down a bunch of times. Okay, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to add some contrast and I'm going to go up. And so in those moments, you can really find where your edge is really easily, because that's where the gremlin comes in. It's like, are you sure you want to do that? That's going to be a weird note. But this is exactly what I want you to look for. Like, I get excited when I hear quote unquote wrong notes, because that means that you're not holding back anymore. It means that you are fully leaning into your creative impulses and not editing before the sound comes out of your mouth. So I want you to go for wrong notes. Like, make it a point to sing wrong notes. One of my favorite exercises that I do with my students, and it's uncomfortable for some, if you've done anything with me longer than like a lesson or two, you probably had me give you this assignment, is to sing it ugly, right? And the first instinct that everybody goes is, they hate it, right? It's uncomfortable to sing wrong notes, things that sound ugly, that sound messy, like not polished and perfect. But it's the best practice for this exact muscle, because we are learning to deal with that gremlin voice that comes in and says you have to be perfect and you're not good enough in every single moment. And the more you do this, if you spend 5 minutes in vocal playtime, sandbox time, I call it, it gets so much easier and easier to let out ugly sounds, because you can't have pretty sounds if you don't make the ugly sounds first. right? One of my favorite metaphors is like you got to turn on the faucet and let the brown water come out first if you want the clean water to come out. So you have to be in allowance. And if you know me at all, you know that's my favorite word. We're allowing in every moment when we're singing. The best singers are in allowance of whatever comes out. They're not fighting themselves in any moment. They're not comparing themselves. They're just allowing their voice to be what it is. They're allowing their creative impulses to be followed. They're allowing their breath to be nice and strong. They're allowing their voice to be loud and intentional and committed. And that's what makes a great singer. Like your favorite pop singer is probably an expert at allowing. And they have probably practiced this exercise many, many times because it does just get easier as you go. So if I can recommend anything, I would say practice improv. Just do it in your car. You don't have to show anybody. You don't have to show anybody the recording. You can delete it right after you do it. But the coolest thing, in my opinion, is how we apply this to real world, is like allowing yourself to go back and look at that and then be the editor. So if you record your sandbox playtime over some chords, and in that moment, you just are the artist. You're not allowing the editor to come in. And you are sending whatever wants to come out of you. And you are finding those moments that really work for you and being free. And then afterwards you come back and listen to your recording and you're like, oh, I really like that. Maybe I should add that into my version. I really like that run I did. I really like that interval I did. And then you can come back and edit. And the editor is not a critic, right? The critic is the gremlin that comes in and goes, that was terrible. Do it all again. Delete it. No, nobody should ever hear this, right? The editor is like, okay, let's find the gems in this. Let's go and this was great. That was awesome. This was great. That was awesome. I don't need all of this because it's too much to put in the song, but I'm going to take this moment that felt like I was really in the flow and it feels like me and I love it and I'm taking it for myself, for my version of this song. Yeah? Makes sense? How does that feel? This is your homework for today, for this week, is to go do at least a level 1 of improv. Just find some chords and allow yourself to play and let some weird sounds out. Hi, Sally. I will see you soon. Make the editor the comic relief. Oh, I like that. That's fun. I like that idea. Yes, it is. It's a whole thing. So I'm gonna go, but hopefully, okay, good. I would love to hear how it goes, Joe. Thanks for being here and participating. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad that you were here. And if you're up for the challenge, you don't have to show me what you do. I just want you to tell me how it went and when that gremlin came in and what you liked and what you didn't like about it, what you noticed about yourself in these moments. It's kind of fun. I used to do it when I was taking long car rides, driving to rehearsals and stuff. So highly recommend doing some improv. Let me know how it goes this week. Alrighty, have a lovely week. I have words. I have my warm-ups for you for free if you're interested in the bio. Go click there. Download my warm-ups. They can be a great exercise for you to make things your own as well. I don't have chord progressions in there, although I should make a chord progression video for you guys to improv over. I think that'd be a good idea. I'll write that down. But warm-ups are a great place to start for you to just be in allowance and letting your voice be where it is. Like, don't push anything, don't force anything too much. Just get singing a little bit every day in my style, and I hope you enjoy them. Start with the beginner ones first and take it easy if you're just a beginner. If you feel like it's no problem for you, add an intermediate exercise in there if you're going. And happy singing. I hope you enjoyed them, and I love you very much, and I'll see you soon.